You don't want to look him in the eyeball, gun. Trust me on that. I saw him at the Battle of Blood Rock, and it weren't pretty. Skrag was on whirling cleavers, surrounded by red mist. Chunks of flesh and bone were flying everywhere. He went through them elves like a saber tusk through a bag of nobblers. Spears was breaking on his skin like he was made of rock. All the while those elves was screaming, and he was chopping them up and chucking the bits of their bodies into his pot. That was when the gorgers arrived, dozens of them, sniffing and grunting as they followed his scent. Then the real slaughter started. Lorehammer Library!
Skrag the Slaughterer is the legendary prophet of the Great Moor, also known as the Gore Harvester and the Moor that Walks. Dragging his massive meat pot behind him, attached to his back with a series of painful, tearing hooks and chains, Skrag hacks and rips at his enemies in a glorious, blood-fueled dedication to the Great Moor. In his wake, he leaves a trail of dismembered limbs and body parts, which it is the duty of his gore nobblers to retrieve and deposit into his cauldron. Once the head slaughtermaster of the tyrant Bron Rockgrinder, Skrag had a dramatic fall in fortune when he accidentally cooked and served up the tyrant's favoured noblar on a platter at a great feast. In a rage, the notoriously bad-tempered tyrant hacked off Skrag's hands and devoured them, cheered on by the drunken ogres at the feast, and then banished the slaughtermaster to the cursed undercaves of the mountain. Skrag was led from the feast in shame, beaten and bloody. As a final punishment, Rockgrinder ordered that Skrag's great cauldron be attached to his back by a series of chains and hooks anchored deep in the slaughtermaster's flesh. Skrag was hurled into the dreaded caverns beneath the mountain, and the way out sealed by a giant boulder. Refusing to despair, Skrag rammed his butcher's implements into his wrist stumps, forming makeshift weapons. Bleeding and bruised, Skrag stumbled ever deeper into the dank labyrinth, dragging his meat pot behind him until in the pitch darkness he was set upon by a pack of ravenous gorgers. Skrag hacked about him, ripping and cutting countless assailants, before he came face to face with a grotesque, hulking creature that ruled over the other gorgers. Skrag ripped the foul creature's throat out with his teeth. The other gorgers backed away from Skrag, respecting him as one of their own. Driven by visions of bloody revenge, Skrag led his gorgers up into the mountain through its internals until they resurfaced in the dead of night deep within the moor pit of Rockgrinder. Emerging in a frenzy, he led his gorgers in a grand feast dedicated to his god, ripping apart and consuming every ogre present after climbing out of the ceremonial pit. Rockgrinder himself was pulled apart and boiled in Skrag's meat pot as an offering to the Great Moor. As he made his dedication, Skrag felt his wounds knit together as powerful energies surged through his great body. Having emerged from the moor pit to devour his foes, Skrag is regarded with awe and fear even by the most terrible of tyrants, who see him as a living embodiment of their god, reborn through the moor pit, regurgitated by the Great Moor. His gorgers remain his ever-present guardians, shadowing him wherever he goes, for by following his familiar scent they are guaranteed fresh kills to feed their insatiable appetites, as much as they revere him as their saviour. When Skrag feeds his maw cauldron with bloody meat, he is rewarded with tremendous powers, blessing his frame, making him nearly unstoppable and able to withstand the most severe of wounds. It is only once battle has ended and there are none left to slaughter that his power diminishes, and the chains to his cauldron fall slack. Within days, however, visions drive him onwards to satiate his god's hunger, and so Skrag must once again seek battle. Bragg the Gutsman is an infamous champion of the ogre race, and the self-proclaimed executioner of the ogre kingdoms. Ogres are a battle-hardened and fearless race, but there walks amongst their number one who is held in particular dread. Even veterans of 1,000 battles feel corpulent shivers at the very name of this killer among killers, this shadowy figure that deals out the most gruesome kind of death imaginable. He is the champion executioner of ogre kind, a slayer of kings and heroes. To see him on the field of battle is to see death itself at work. He is Bragg the Gutsman, and none he is marked for slaughter have ever survived. When presented with his first blade to swing about with wild abandon, as is every young whelp, Bragg showed great affinity for lopping off the heads of any nearby. It wasn't that Bragg fought with grace or finesse, which are attributes that elude all ogres, but rather that he had a natural gift for landing blows to cause maximum damage. It was when Bragg created the death-dealing weapon known as the Great Gut Gouger that he earned true notoriety. The weapon was cobbled together after Bragg broke his scimitar at the Battle of Firemouth. He fashioned the polearm from the broken blades of a slain Black Orc warboss, and the magically glowing steel was beaten and reformed using the magma of the Firemouth itself. Thus was born a legend. Wielding the hook blade with prowess, Bragg could slice off a foe's head with the flick of his powerful wrists. Time and again Bragg slew foes, beheading orc chieftains, skaven warlords, and heavily armored champions of chaos. It was not until Bragg turned his weapon against his own kind that his comrades learnt to know fear. During intertribal wars, Bragg discovered the bladed hook could cut above a victim's gut plate and slice down to scoop out his foe's guts, sending them splashing wetly onto the ground. Ogres are used to heinous wounds, but disembowelments cause them to cringe in a special way. There can be no recovery from a gut blow, and with their extraordinary size it takes a long, painful time for the innards to fully uncoil outwards. Bragg had become a much feared executioner, or gutsman, as the ogres called him. Since then Bragg has travelled from tribe to tribe, seeking battle. He is always welcomed, for he is a powerful bruiser and helpful in a scrap. Champions of every race have fallen before Bragg, dismembered by his strange weapon. To see the mightiest of their foes chopped down always raises cheers amongst the ogres. Yet sooner or later Bragg finds himself called out or forced to settle with some internal challenger. After spilling his victim's guts in a brief duel, Bragg finds himself no longer welcome. Even when killing a tyrant, Bragg finds no tribe will follow him. So, shouldering the great gut gouger, he moves on, forever seeking the next tribe where he might find work for his thirsty weapon. Bragg feels the need to kill calling him, as surely as he feels the voracious stirring of the great maw in his own belly.